as you can see, it is winter. Oh my goodness, we are just past the middle of November and I have been incredibly busy on projects. But this video is something I worked on all summer. It took me over 2 months to get it finished, and I wanted to be able to show you the process that I did to get my boards ready for my garden. Now winter came early, I was not able to get in there. So even though I spent such a long time getting the boards ready, they're just gonna have to wait till spring. But like I said, I want to show you what I did. Right now they're all stacked in my house between my kitchen and my dining room, and they're wall decor at this point because they're just stacked. I hope you enjoy this process, and I hope that maybe it will inspire you to do something similar to help prolong the life of your garden bed wood. I hope you enjoy this. The one thing I'm trying to do is get all my boards all ready to go while I've got warm, dry weather this summer for replacing my raised beds. I replaced a couple of them, like you can see the new colors and everything, and if you're following my channel you know why. The others are old, they're over 7 years old, and they need replacing. So I need to rebuild them, and what I'm trying to do this time is prepare the boards with staining and everything else so that they've got some protection in there before I start building them. So today I'm starting to cut them all. I've got a lot of wood here. The main boards are 2x8s. They are hemp fir. They're straight boards. They haven't been warping, and they absorb the Australian timber oil very, very well. So far they've held up well. They've got a nice grain to them, and I'm gonna get started. It's gonna be a long process. So right now it's the very end of July. I probably won't get some of these even done until September, maybe even after that. Depends on when things are coming out of the garden. So I'm just gonna start replacing them as the vegetables are done, and I'm clearing out those plants. I'm getting my setup ready to start cutting boards. All right, I just want to stop a minute and show you my sawhorses. I have been needing them for years, decades, and I finally found a pair. They're Stanley. Now yes, they're all plastic, but I found a sale. They were half price, and they were $20 for the pair of them. There were mixed reviews on them. Some people are like, they just fall apart the first time I use them. Other people are like, yeah, it lasts forever. But I love them because they have the little shelves underneath here, and then they have a slot for 2x4s. But what I did is take a couple 2x2s and just fit them in the slots, and this makes it far more stable when I'm sawing all these boards. And they have these little gripper things to help stabilize your board so it's not sliding all around. And they also have hooks on both sides of them, so you can hang your tools or whatever else you need. Well, I've only just started using these, but so far I'm really liking it. It puts everything at a level where I can saw it and sand it so much easier. Using Australian timber oil from Cabot, and this color is amber wood. I already did a few beds in my garden. They've weathered a little bit, so the color will adjust a little bit when it dries. What I'm using here are fresh boards, and so they haven't been exposed to the sun at all, whereas the others were for a little bit. I set up this painting stand for myself. I just stacked bricks so it could be at a good level for me to be painting, and I'll be able to just take it down when I'm done. But it's working great. Now this timber oil is made up of linseed oil and tung oil and some alkyds, which would be your colors and some other elements that help to bind it and keep it all together. I mean, it's not a forever thing, but it will help extend the life of my boards a little bit longer, which will be great. So if you're looking for something that's going to last you, 30 years, you probably want to look into using cedar and doing like the Shou Sugi burning method to help them last longer. But I will not be gardening another 30 years, so I don't have to worry about that. The one thing about the oil is it does raise the grain on this, so if you don't want that, after it's all dry, you can do a light sand. Got some of my boards all done, and they're drying in the sun to cure that layer of oil that I've put on them. Still have more boards to do, but this is a fantastic start. So I have to make sure that I hold this at no more than a 60-degree angle so the propane works correctly and the torch works right. There's so many different grains in here. It's interesting that some don't burn and others do. You want to be careful with this because it's very flammable. Right now I'm dealing with a little bit of a breeze and it's giving me a little bit of problems and wanting to go out or not burn correctly. So my intent is not to burn it until it's deeply charred. So I'm just trying to get somewhat of a surface thing to give it just that little bit of extra protection. Maybe let it last 1 or 2 years longer, just so I don't have to replace these so often. So now the burning method I'm doing, even though we call it Shou Sugi, true Shou Sugi is done with cedar wood. Now this is untreated pine, and I'm not going really deep. So Sugi, you usually burn it until it's got lumps of char in here, and then it can go really deep, and then you scrape that off and everything. First of all, I didn't want to lose that much of my wood, and I'm going to oil it down with some linseed oil also once I get them in the garden beds. So because it's pine and I'm not burning it so deep, it could be classified under another form that's called Yakisugi. And so there's some debate between the two methods and everything. Those who are diehard Shou Sugi burners and everything and doing that, they probably know the difference. These are just for my garden beds. I'm not doing anything spectacular. It's just for some level of protection to let my wood last longer. So I'll leave a link below and you can read up on that and see what you think. So now this board has been oiled already on all 3 sides. And so I want to show you what happens when I do burn it here when it reaches the oil. Also, when you're burning outside, make sure that you have the wind either behind you or at least to the side. Don't have the wind coming at you, because what it can do is it can blow the flame back at you, because you can't normally, like in the daytime, right now at night you can see a little bit here, but during the daytime you don't want to have it coming back in your face, so you've got to be very, very careful with that. Okay, I want to show you what happens here when I'm burning it after the fact. So any drips that had come down from when I oiled it, that it naturally is going to drip over the edge. It ends up really creating some bubbly charred parts here, as well as catching fire to the oil and burning across the edge here. It makes for a really uneven, kind of blotchy look. And so that way, I really prefer to burn it first and then oil the boards afterwards. And now this oil has actually cured on this board for at least 2 weeks. So it's not like it's fresh oil or anything, and it's still creating these spots here. So even though I didn't do a real deep burn, there's still a layer of char on here that I just want to do a little light scraping. And so, I mean, you could use a wire brush. I just have this pan scraper. I'm just going to kind of lightly go over it. You can see the char that's coming out. Use this towel to get whatever's left over on there, and it creates a really nice sheen. Now when I go to build the beds and handle this, I won't get full of ash. This will also end up taking the linseed oil much better. So here's some of my boards all done, and I just wanted to show you the beautiful grain that is left. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So even though this is going to be for the dirt side, I just want to show you what this process can do to your wood. No stain. So this is the last of my big boards that are all burned and oiled, and they're just sitting in the sun to dry. They take a couple hours to dry before you can really touch them and handle them. So when I build my beds, I actually do like a corner brace instead of putting like a 2x2 in the corner here on the inside, just because through my experience for myself, I end up catching myself on the inside and I ding it up and I hurt my hand and all that kind of stuff. So I've taken to using these outside braces and just screw them into either side. Those are 1x4s and 14 inches long, and then I use a piece for the middle of the 6-foot lengths to give it some extra strength. And these are usually end pieces of my 8-foot boards, so they're generally about 12 inches. So when I'm preparing all the boards to be ready for when I put all the beds together, I've already cut them and sanded them, and for 7 beds, that's 56 corner pieces and then 2 of the side bracing pieces. And this is what I have set up to oil them down. Again, I'm using the timber oil, and these are just some pallets that I had left over, and I'm laying the boards on top of them. Painting one side, flipping them over, doing the other. So I've got a bit of a production going here. But it's out in the sun, and it's a nice warm day. So there you go. Thank you so much for coming along with me and finding out more about Shou Sugi. I'll put a link below so you can read up more on it and find out for yourself what you would like to do. For me, immediately I could see the difference in the wood and how it will last a lot longer. An airplane going up. So wherever you are in the world, whatever your season is something you can work on. So for me, I don't have a garage or a shed or anything that I can store them in or work on it through the winter. But if you have that ability, that'd be something great to prepare your wood for if you plan on building in the summer. And it's something that you can get, just get a couple boards at a time and stock up on things. Anyway, y'all take care. God bless. Always have hope. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.